Well, good morning, church. I'm Pastor Dave, and this is the musing for the 19th of May. In the book of Revelation, the Apostle John begins with a set of letters from God to various churches. Now, each of the churches is different. Each church faces unique challenges. Each has qualities that God comments upon. Churches today face the same sorts of circumstances that these ancient churches were dealing with. So these letters speak to us today just as clearly as they spoke to the early Christians that they were originally intended for. And in the letter to the church at Laodicea, God says something extremely odd. He is commenting on their fervor, the intensity of their faith, and he is not impressed. He likens them to water that is lukewarm, neither cold nor hot. Now, human beings generally like for their drinks to be either cold and refreshing or hot and comforting. Room temperature beverages are usually a disappointment. And so was the church at Laodicea. In God's analogy, a hot church would have been a church that was on fire for God, energized and evangelistic, actively involved in winning the world for Christ. A cold church would have been one that had abandoned God, a dead church with no faith at all. A lukewarm church is simply a church that doesn't care anymore. Such a church is not for God, it is not opposed to God, it's just indifferent to God. And God says that he would rather the church be either hot or cold, either vibrant or dead, rather than indifferent. Do you hear that? God would rather have a church that has died than a church that doesn't care. A dead church can be revived. A dead church can be resurrected. A dead church can start over. Even a church that is opposed to God, a congregation of atheists, can be converted. And their strong emotional rejection of God could become strong emotional acceptance of God. But a church that doesn't care is useless. It doesn't get better. It doesn't get worse. It doesn't do anything. It cannot muster the energy or the motivation to change. It cannot be healed because it doesn't realize that it's sick. God says that such a group is fit only to be spit out. Friends, God can work with those who support him. The disciples, the martyrs, the great heroes of the faith. And God can work with those who oppose him. The Apostle Paul, for example. In fact, some of the greatest assets that the kingdom of God has ever had came from among those who disbelieved at one point. As long as they disbelieved passionately. Such people, once converted, can become powerful voices for God, great witnesses for Christ. But people who have no passion give God nothing to work with. It is said that in human relationships, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. I would suggest to you that something similar is true of faith. Belief can be redirected. Belief is hope. Belief is passion. Belief is involvement. Indifference is hopeless. It is spiritual death. Oddly enough, God would rather have you fight with him than ignore him. Until next time, God bless you all.